Natalie's Witchy Wisdom. I am obviously Natalie, and today I am going to do a video that was a request. This was actually a recommendation for a topic for Witches of the Moon, but as you guys know that have watched the channel for a while, we actually picked the topics the season prior for the upcoming season. So I thought this was a pertinent topic and I thought it was worthy of discussing, so I'm going to do it on my personal channel, Adalia Lynn Starfire. This video is for you. So her question was, or her topic suggestion was, how do witches view Thanksgiving, the holiday of Thanksgiving, especially here in the United States, and what does that mean for us? So I'm going to attempt to tackle that a little bit. Surprisingly, what a lot of people don't realize is that Thanksgiving is not really a religious holiday. It's actually a relatively new holiday in terms of it didn't come around with that first Thanksgiving and be just carried forward. And a lot of the story that you know about the first Thanksgiving isn't exactly accurate. Okay, it did involve the Wampanoag Indians and it did involve the settlers at the colony of Jamestown. However, it didn't go down quite as people say. You know, it wasn't all happy-dappy and family. Obviously, Miles Standish knew that the Native Americans understood the land a lot better than they did, being strangers here, and he did seek them out in friendship and did make every attempt to keep their friendship. And I apologize, but my dogs are freaking going nuts back here, so I'm gonna have to pause and go get them. So I'll come right back, and I apologize. Interruption. So anyhow, the Native Americans were present, okay, and it did involve the colony of Jamestown. It was an event. It just wasn't quite what people thought. For one thing, they probably did not eat turkey. I believe a lot of it was venison. A lot of it was vegetable. It wasn't quite what we think of when we have a Thanksgiving feast today. But setting all of that aside and looking at it from a witch's perspective, what does the holiday of Thanksgiving represent for us? Well, obviously, we're still within the season of the harvest, although Samhain presents the end of the three major Celtic harvest festivals. This is still a time of harvest when certain things are being brought in, certain fruits, certain vegetables are still being brought in for the winter, so corn, apples, things like that. So in terms of an American witch, Thanksgiving certainly can be seen as just exactly that, a Thanksgiving. We just don't look at it from a Judeo-Christian perspective. So it's not like we're going to sit down and say, you know, in Jesus' name, bless this feast and all of this stuff. But a lot of us do take some time to reflect. And I don't know about other witches, but I myself always do a little bit of spell work right around the holiday of Thanksgiving. Not so much on the day of Thanksgiving because I'm usually pretty busy with family and cooking and that sort of thing, but just either the day prior or that weekend, because typically for us in my family, the 3 days after the holiday, we would always close our business for that Thursday and Friday. So we had a 4-day weekend. And we would spend Friday, Saturday, and Sunday putting up the Christmas decorations because we have the big yard blow-ups and stuff like that. I love Christmas. Many of you already know that. But in the last 2 years, we haven't done that. I don't think it's going to happen this year because my husband fell off the ladder 2 years ago and hurt himself. And so I'm very thankful this year that he's still here with me, because if it was the short ladder, if it had been the tall ladder where he was putting them on the top of our house, he probably would not have survived, and I probably wouldn't be as thankful. Anyhow, so I myself take this time to just do a little bit of reflection and a continuation basically of what I was doing at Samhain. So it will be the time when I say, okay, you know, now it's time for the spirits to be at rest. Although they're always around us and always with us, it's not as fertile a time for reaching our family members or our ancestors, but I will continue my veneration of my ancestors and my thankfulness for the sacrifices that they have made throughout all the many generations to bring me where I am today, and I do try to reflect on that. I also try to do a little bit of spell work to bring about a sense of peace and thankfulness, and that those who are in need have their needs filled, especially at the holidays. Because one of the things that I like to reflect on and what Thanksgiving means to me is that it is a time that we should be thankful, but it's also a time to bear in mind that there are those who have a lot less. And the holidays, particularly going from Thanksgiving through Christmas, tend to be a very, very hard time for a lot of people. There is a sharp increase in the number of suicides this type of year because a lot of people are brought home to the fact that they don't have what they need, especially if you've had some sort of a loss, say a family member, a loved one, or something like that. You've lost a job, you're not able to provide. You feel that it's a difficult time, and a lot of people succumb to that during this time of the year. So I always offer up a thankfulness that I have what I have, and try to give of myself in some way to help others, especially throughout this time. I mean, I do that throughout the year anyway, but this time particularly simply because it kind of reflects back on A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, when the two people come to Scrooge at the beginning and they ask him to donate, some means of warmth and food this time of year, and he says, "Why should I?" And one of the gentlemen tells him, because it's at this time of the year that need is most keenly felt. And I really do believe that. I think it's felt more this time of the year than it is any other time, because everybody's giving. There's all these commercials about buy a car for the holidays, buy a house, get your kids this toy, that toy. And so I try to step back from the commercialism of it all and just reflect on being thankful for the I don't necessarily want to say non-material things that I have, because those things are important and I am thankful for them. I'm glad to have a house. I'm glad to have a business. I'm glad to be able to employ at least one other person. I hope that I can continue to do so. But this is a time when I offer up my thanks and give of myself, and try to make my life something someone else might be thankful for, to try to make a positive influence. And so that is what Thanksgiving means to me as a witch. It is my time for recalling that there are those who have less than I do, and not just being thankful in spirit, but taking that thankfulness forward by doing what I can for other people, paying it forward, sort of thing. And doing so in a manner that is free of any kind of judgment, malice, or forethought. So I know there are others who kind of view it the same way. I do spell work specifically this time of the year to bring about those kinds of changes for other people. If I have a specific person in mind, I may do a spell that's specific to them, but I tend to generalize it because I think that we kind of get trapped in our own little worlds during the holidays. We're so focused on our own families and our own lives and our own, making the holiday special, or just trying to make ends meet during the holiday, that we forget that there are those in the world that are way worse than we are. So I don't do it just for the local or someone who's local or my local community or just even here in the United States. I try to do it for people anywhere who are feeling need at this time and seeing to it that they have what they need. So I realize that I kind of don't know what else I could say about that, except that, from a witch's perspective, I think it's a continuation of a time to be thankful, a continuation of the harvest, a continuation of an understanding and thankfulness for our ancestors. As we move in towards the season of Yule, I think this time serves as kind of a line of demarcation for witches, when the dark half has started, dark half of the year has started, and it's time to start reflecting and thinking forward to what we're going to do for ourselves, for our families, and for making the world and the community a better place in the future. Right now is a time for planting those seeds, for bringing forward everything you would like to see or what you want to continue to be thankful for, and planting the seeds to make sure that those continue on in the next year. So that to me is what this time of the year means for me as a witch. I would love to see some discussion on this in the forums on my channel here. If you guys would like to carry this forward, I do have a Facebook page, The Purple Broom Apothecary, and I would love to see some discussion there. I will likely post this video there as well, so that we can talk about that. I would love to hear what other witches' traditions are this time of year, and if your reflections this time of year mirror those of mine, or if they're completely different. Some people choose not to do any spell work during this time of the year, which I find kind of odd, because for me, being a witch, spell work is an integral part of that, and I tend to do it without really thought sometimes. I mean, there are certain spells that I do that I just do. It's almost like prayer. So, I would be interested to hear what you guys have to say. Thank you again for tuning in, and I hope that this was a little bit enjoyable for you. doing a breakup before your holiday, and it also gives me an opportunity to tell everyone in the United States and elsewhere, Happy Thanksgiving. Please do be thankful for what you have, and remember always that there are those who do not, and that we as witches have it within our power to better not only our own lives but the lives of those around us. So let's work to do that, especially in this tumultuous time when things are a little uncertain as to where they're going to go, and we can be hopeful that the future will be bright. And so let's do that. Okay, let's make it a brighter future for everyone. Thank you so much, and blessed be.